Alright, so I was totally wrong. So, Wacom's new Universal Stylus went on sale last week, and it's not quite as cool as a lot of us thought at first it would be. There's a great write-up over on SurfaceProArtist.com where Rick gets to take one of these pens and run it through its paces. And what do I think of this new pen? Well, kind of disappointed. Okay, a little bit of history. I'm going to dive into the weeds a little bit, so bear with me. At last year's Microsoft Build Conference, Brian Rode tweeted this. Forgot something big. We are working with Wacom to create a pen that will work across a huge number of enabled devices. Hashtag Build 2016. A lot of people, or maybe just me, took this to mean that Wacom and Microsoft were pairing up, teaming together to create like a universal pen standard. But Brad, why would you think that? Looking at that tweet, it sounds like they're just working on a pen. The reason I and many other people thought this is because of the press release Wacom released afterwards. It was titled, Wacom broadens digital pen interoperability in the marketplace under the Universal Pen Framework, UPF, along with Microsoft. Now myself and many of the people who comment on these videos, watch these videos, people on the internet in general, took this as great news, and here is why. If you buy a mouse, a USB mouse, you know that you can plug that into pretty much any Windows computer and it is going to work. If you get a Bluetooth speaker, you can use that on any Windows computer that has a Bluetooth receiver and you know it's going to work. But a stylus is a little bit different. Just because you have a stylus in your hand that works on one laptop doesn't mean it's going to work on another laptop or tablet. And the pen that came with your HP tablet is not going to work with the pen that came with your buddy's Acer tablet. By the way, why did your buddy get an Acer tablet? For most of you who watch this channel, all of this stuff probably makes a whole lot of sense because you're pretty well tied into technology. But I can tell you from experience and just monitoring all the comments that I get on this YouTube channel and through Twitter that there is a ton of confusion around this sort of thing out there. If you're just wading into this realm for the very first time because you just want to draw on something, it can get really confusing. You see all these styluses out there and you don't know what works with who, and then you throw in like Android tablets and iPad tablets, and the Apple Pencil works with this but doesn't work with that, and what works with an Android tablet and what works with an S Pen and doesn't. The peoples are confused. And so, the moral of the story is this. It would be great if we had a standard where every single pen worked with every other's Windows device that was enabled to work with a pen. Or another way of saying it, a universal pen framework. If all pens use the same standard, that means Wacom and Microsoft could license out this technology and we could have a whole myriad of pens coming out into the market. So, for example, I like the really wide Wacom pens that come with like the Cintiqs and the Intuos tablets. They're really comfortable to hold, but my Surface Pen is really skinny. I could go out and buy somebody else's pen or a Wacom pen that they made that could work with any tablet. You want a pen that's smaller that you could just fit in your pocket easily? It isn't going to get in the way? Fine, you buy a tiny little pretzel pen. Great. Doesn't matter where you use it, and the consumer gets more choice. That's what a standard would provide. Part of the reason a standard would be necessary is the fact that in order to draw on a device, at least draw well on a device, it takes two things. It takes the technology in the pen, and it takes the technology in the screen, and those two things have to work together. And I guess the thing that really was exciting about this was the idea that Wacom was working with Microsoft, or the other way around, Microsoft was going and getting Wacom. Right now, the Surface Pro line, for example, uses Intreg technology, which isn't bad, but a lot of people, myself included, prefer the technology that comes in Wacom's pens. So bringing on Wacom to create some kind of universal standard with Microsoft was a really, really appealing story. Okay, so now that that background is over, here is what we're getting. The Wacom Bamboo Ink Smart Stylus. So why is this disappointing news? Because this really isn't a standard, and I don't think it really clears up anything. What it's doing is it's taking two kinds of technology that you find in pens and combining them into one pen. This isn't a new technology, it's just bridging the gap between two old ones. Or to put it another way, it's just another stylus that works on some things but doesn't work on other things. So from what I can tell, the pen has two different sensors built into it. It can work with Wacom's pen technology as well as Microsoft's. Several manufacturers use Wacom's Active ES in their Windows tablets, and several use Microsoft's. Just to make this more confusing, this is not going to work with a Cintiq or an Intuos or a Mobile Studio Pro. That pen technology is totally different and is not supported by this pen. It also isn't going to work with other Wacom ERM devices. For example, the new Samsung Galaxy Book. confused yet. It is a pen that works on more devices than some of the older styluses they produced, but at the end of the day, that also means that you're putting more technology into it, which means it's more expensive as well. Most folks don't have two tablets, and so they're not going to want to pay more for a stylus that's going to work on other tablets that they don't own. For example, this new stylus is more expensive than the one that you can get for the current Surface Pro 4. It's about $20 cheaper than the new stylus that Microsoft unveiled for the new Surface Pro just last week. Over at SurfaceProArtist.com, when Rick took it through its tests, he was testing to see how many levels of pressure sensitivity it gets. He was unable to determine that. He was able to determine that it doesn't have things like tilt support yet. So it doesn't look like it has all the features that we're expecting in the new Surface Pro pen. I think what ended up happening is that I read too much into a press release, and I read too much into some of just the random things that were written on the blog. Sometimes it could be a little hard to kind of parse through a lot of the marketing speak. Rereading that post now, it makes a lot more sense that, yeah, all they were working on this entire time was a pen. Also, with a little bit of time of reflection, I started to think maybe this is a good thing. Maybe not having some universal standard is actually beneficial to all of us. A universal standard may have caused stagnation. You know, once it's set, this is how all pens will behave, and if it's not good or there are errors in the standard, it might be stuck there for years and years and years, and we might not see advances in the quality of the kind of technology that we're getting. So what we get with this revolutionary new product is basically more of the same. We are in the same place that we were before it was unveiled. Am I going to get one? Yeah, I'm probably going to pick one up. I probably won't be doing a thorough review of it. I think the only way to do a thorough review of it is to actually test it across multiple devices. I only have one device to test it on now, but it'd be nice to have around as I test other tablets down the road, you know, to be able to just try it out and see how it works. Probably be nice. And I'm also not saying that this is a bad pen. From what I've seen from the preview video, it looks nicely designed. It probably is pretty nice to hold. Some of the things that Rick tested out over on his website make it look really nice, especially if you're a light sketcher who likes a good light activation pressure. It seems to do really well in that area. It's just not quite as revolutionary as what a lot of us were anticipating. So that's all I've got for today. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them down below. That's all I've got. I'll talk to you guys later.